Thank you for tuning in for another all-new edition of MeAndMineTv right here on YouTube. The only automobile enthusiast channel on YouTube that you, the fans, control. I am your host, DV. You can follow myself and the show at the Twitter handle shown on your screen. And if you follow, we follow back. But you know what? Let's skip the introductions, keep the subtleties to a minimum, and get down to business. Because I'm curious. I want to know, when I say four-door luxury sports sedans, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Is it something a little European? Perhaps maybe something made by the Asians. Or maybe even, God forbid, something made by us Americans. Because you know what? The Europeans have Aston Martin and they have Jaguar. A little further to the east, Germany holds BMW, Mercedes Benz, and Audi. A little further to the east in the Asian Pacific, you have Infiniti and you have Lexus. And here in America, we have Cadillac. If indeed Cadillac is a luxury manufacturer. I'll tell you what, we'll get back to that a little later. Because if you were to only consider sales and desirability, only two of these auto manufacturing giants reign supreme. And they both hail out of the mighty country known to us as Germany. Because on one side, you have BMW, and on the other, you have Mercedes Benz. And these two companies have been waging war against each other and upon their competition for almost a century. And what we're going to start today is a little mini series trying to figure out which is the best luxury auto manufacturer and which is the best four-door luxury sedan on the market today. And what we're going to start with today are the two cars that many people, including myself, would say are the staple points, the baselines, the best four-door luxury sedans on the market today. One coming from BMW, known as the BMW 5 Series, and on the other side, we have Mercedes Benz E Class. But I know what you're all thinking. DV, shut up, get in the cars, and let's see what these cars got. So that's exactly what we're going to do, because that's what we do here on MeAndMineTv. And that's strap in, strap up, and go for another ride. So here we are in the interior of the 2015 BMW 528i. And after hopping in it for, I don't know, past 3 or 4 minutes now that I'm getting a feel for the car, I have to admit, I am actually quite impressed with BMW. Because hopping in this car, the seats are like freaking recliner chairs in cars. I mean, they are big and they are comfortable. You got plenty of back support. You got plenty of lumbar support. The seats that you're actually sitting on, they're actually quite comfortable and quite cushy, if I should say so myself. You know, I got plenty of headroom up top. I got tons of space, you know, as far as leg room goes. And what I love, especially about a car of this size, I still have room to make my seat go back and to make it forward because I have that much room in this car. And as I said through many different episodes during the show, you know, I'm 6'2", 250, and finally being able to get in a car that's not a Camaro or a Mustang or a Porsche or a Vet, getting into a car that's meant for comfortability, a car that's meant to be a, you know, a long distance cruiser. It's finally nice, I would have to say, to get out of the sports cars and into an actual nice road-going four-door sedan. And as far as the interior goes, I know exactly what you all are thinking. I really do. I really do, because I'm a psychic. I know exactly right now you're probably sitting there with your stopwatch just counting down the seconds till I start complaining about how much plastic is in this car. But truth be told, there's not really a profound amount of plastic in this car. And I like that. I like it. Because you got a nice piece of faux-looking wood on the dashboard. Of course, the center console is leather mixed in with a little bit of plastic, and you got a little bit of wood. And really the only profound piece of plastic is the dashboard cover. And I'm liking that. You know, the dashboard is well laid out, I have to say, because it's really simplistic and easy. All you got is a fuel gauge, a speedometer, an RPM gauge, and your coolant. That's it. No, it's not overly thought. It's not overly complicated. It is very, very simplistic. Now, truth be told, one thing that I'm not really feeling, and this isn't just, you know, secluded to just BMW. I mean, this goes for BMW, Mercedes, and Audi. I like the little center display here. I like the navigation and the screen. It's okay. But anybody who has driven a German car or owned a German car, most of them would probably tell you, yeah, it's nice with all the features that it has, and yes, it's nice because the screen is big, but to get to anything is complicated. I mean, you got the little screen here, and it's working. You have the little dial knob thingamajigger here that goes in 19 million different ways, and if you press it the wrong way, it goes to the wrong thing. I mean, I don't like an overly complicated car, which is saying something because, you know, I like sports cars, I like luxury cars, I like high-end cars, and most of the time, top-end sports cars, high-end luxury cars are always complicated. But for a base 528i, I think they could have made it just a tad bit more, you know, simplistic. You know, I love how, you know, the rest of the center console is laid out, because you got your air conditioning control, and of course you got your buttons for your radio. Now, of course, if you've been watching this series so far, you know that I don't listen to FM radio, and I think I've documented the reasons for that. Because with this car, you get the standard CD player, you get the USB hookup for your iPod, or you can hook up, you know, charge whatever, you know, USB powered device that you got. Of course, you got your Bluetooth that you can listen to your music to. But the thing is, I've been in this car for about 10 minutes now. Still can't hook up my Bluetooth for, I don't know, maybe the BMW 528i doesn't like my Samsung S3. I don't know. So I'll probably just be either talking to myself, listening to the wind blow, or listening to the air conditioning blow as I'm making my trip down to Columbus. But so far, I have to admit, I'm actually liking the 528i. And the thing that I love most about this car is that thing right there. This ginormous sunroof. I mean, this mother lover is big, and I like that. I mean, it's takes a dang near the whole entire roof, and I can't open it because you guys be hearing the wind blow and not me talking. So, but so far, yes, I have to admit, being skeptical on BMW's cars, I have to admit, I'm liking this one. Now, when it comes to performance and handling with the BMW 528i, let's be real for a moment here. The BMW 528i is not built for speed and performance. Now, if you want speed and performance out of a BMW 5 Series, I highly suggest, and I would even buy myself, a BMW M5. But we have a 528i today, so let's stick with the 528i. Now, I'm not going to sit here and bore you with horsepower and torque and 0 to 60 times and quarter mile times and top speed times and all that, because again, this is not what this car is built for. This car is built for like the civilized generation. Those people who want a nice status symbol that's comfortable, that's quiet, that has an abundance amount of luxury, that's a good overall bang for your buck four-door family saloon. But as good as this car feels for what it was built to do, I do have a massive amount of complaints. First things first, the steering wheel. Now, the steering wheel is probably one of the most important things to any driver of any car, simply because of how you feel and the feel it gives you when you're trying to steer and do anything that you want to do with the steering wheel. Because I'm sorry, this steering wheel is not comfortable. I mean, it is seriously rock the heck hard. And I've been driving the car for, I think, about like 45 minutes now on my way down to Columbus, Georgia, and my hands hurt from holding the steering wheel, because I mean, there's no soft points around the steering wheel. It's like BMW carved out a rock in a circular, you know, fashion and just put it on the car so you could drive it. I mean, it's not comfortable with one hand or two hand or any part of the steering wheel. And another problem that I have with the car, the steering, and the steering wheel in general, the feel of this car is big and heavy. The car itself is big and heavy. I totally understand that. But when I'm trying to steer this car left or right, it's like when I'm trying to go left, it's like I have like a 15-pound dumbbell in my left hand. When I'm trying to go right, it's like I have a 15-pound dumbbell in my right hand. I mean, trying to turn this car left and right is a workout. Now, for those people who own this car, who maybe go to the gym or who maybe lift, you know, weights or whatever, I don't really see a need for that. Because if you want to work out, just hop in your car, drive for 2 hours, come back, work out, done. That's how heavy this steering wheel is. And another problem that I have with this car, and I won't say it's a problem, I would just say that it makes me giddy. This car has two driving modes, sport and comfort. As a matter of fact, the buttons are just one for sport and another one for comfort. That is probably the most easiest and simplistic part about the interior of this car. But again, the BMW 528i is not built and meant for speed, excuse me, for speed and performance. So what the heck do I need with a sport button? I mean, nobody in their right mind is going to take this car to Tell the Dragon or some kind of road course and sling this car around trying to get the performance and the handling out of this car. I mean, this car, that is not what this car is built for. So what kind of sporty feel am I going to get if I hit the sport button? Steering still heavy, car still accelerating slowly. What the heck am I getting in the sport button? I mean, that's just a waste of my time. And in closing, when it comes to the performance and handling of this car, I love the transmission. I really do. And it has the little Tiptronic manual mode, and of course, just a regular driving automatic mode. And even though this is a base 528i, the transmission in this car is pretty damn good. I mean, the shifts are quick, whether it's an automatic or if you're doing the Tiptronic shifting. There's you don't have that pronounced and long duration of lag, between gear changes. I mean, it's almost instant. I mean, there's none of that shift to gear and then go. It's always shift to gear and you're gone. And I like that. The last and final thought that I would like to bring up with the BMW 528i is, now I understand that this car is not built for speed. It's not built for performance. It's big and it's heavy. So of course it's going to feel big and it's going to feel heavy. But after driving this car for 45 minutes now that we're making our way down to Georgia, this car has a massive, an abundant, a countless amount of understeer. And I'm talking understeer to the point that it makes you fearful to try to open up the taps in this car to see what it has. Because I've tried to do it, and notice how I use the word try. I tried to see if I can throw this car around, and it just wasn't happening. Because like I said before, I don't see anybody in their right mind who would want to take this version of a BMW 5 Series up to Tell the Dragon or some kind of road course and sling this car around. Because personally, I would have to think, after the feeling that I've got from this car wants to kill you. It's one of those cars, like, if you're not a freaking thoroughbred race car driver, don't even attempt to make me go around a tight turn fast, because I will kill you. That's the feeling that I get from the BMW 528i, because again, like I've said many times before, this car's not built for handling. It's not built for speed. But what it is built for, comfort, luxury, and just to have a hint of performance, it does do very well. And those two major flaws that I brought up with this car, most people wouldn't care, because again, this car is built for the civilized individual, the mature individual, whereas the BMW M5 is built for the person like me, the person that likes to go bonkers. But that's not what the BMW 528i is built for. Now, when it comes to the styling of the BMW 5 Series, like many of the cars that we've tested so far, I have to continue to say, they did it right. Because one thing I have to give props to the Germans for is that they do know how to design some pretty good-looking cars. Whether it's from BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche, they all look pretty damn good. But even with all that being said, I must follow that up by simply saying this. Each and every German auto manufacturer suffers from a disease that I like to call same car syndrome. Now you're probably wondering to yourself, what the heck is same car syndrome? Same car syndrome is when every car of a particular car manufacturer look the same. Key in point, BMW. Because it doesn't matter if it's the 3 Series, the 4 Series, the 5 Series, the 6 Series, or the 7 Series. They all look pretty much the same. Now, the only car that really differentiates itself from the rest of the pack is, of course, the BMW 7 Series, because the BMW 7 Series rear looks completely different from every other car that they design. But from the front, each and every one of their cars look identical. I can't tell the difference, and I don't know what the car is until I'm actually up on it. Because from the rear, the 7 Series is completely different. The 6 Series has a hint, a little changes to its rear, but it still looks the same as the 3, the 4, and the 5. Because I don't know what a 3 or a 4 or a 5 is until I'm literally right up on it. Because again, they all look the same. But the best 5 Series is, of course, the M5, because the way they designed that car is absolutely beautiful. But what we have here today is, of course, the BMW 528i, and we'll stick to the BMW 528i. And for a base entry-level BMW, I have to say, it looks pretty good. I mean, from the curves to the shape to how you only have a little bit of the rear overhang, but you have a massive overhang up front. It looks pretty good. Like I said, they did it right. Now, it's nothing spectacular about this car. You don't have the fender flares. You don't have any of the carbon fiber accents. You don't have the nice looking rims. You don't have the bigger tires. You don't have none of that. But truth be told, even just as a base model, this car is beautiful. But of course, it always looks its best in the BMW 5 Series. Now, we're hoping that we can get our hands on one of those cars. I'm not going to promise anybody anything, because I would really love to put this car up against the BMW M5 to show the difference between this car and that car, and how if you further the exterior parts of this car, if you change up maybe some of the color design, maybe some of the shapes, how much better it looks on the BMW 5 Series M5 than it does on the 528i. But from the exterior parts of this car, it looks pretty good. It's simple, it's plain, there's nothing overthought about the exterior of this car, because again, this car is built for the civilized and mature individual. So I have to say, BMW, they're doing it right. So how do we sum up our time here in the 2015 BMW 528i? Because before, I said that my opinion was at a 110 degree of change. But now that, unfortunately, since we had a little bit of complications with one of our test vehicles, we might have to cut this ride a little short, not actually make it down to Columbus, Georgia. I would have to say my opinion on the BMW 528i has completely done a 180. Completely, because I won't say this car has completely sold me, but I would say I'm right at a 95% sold on this car, because everything I thought this car was, the impression that I had in this car when I was riding in it but not driving it, this car has completely shown it is not. Because even though this car is a base model, even though there's nothing fancy, even though it's not the most powerful version, the best handling version, the best looking version, it still does what it was meant to do pretty damn well. And I have to say that, because really the only three faults that I found with this car is, of course, the center console. But then again, that's with most German cars. The steering feel, I'm kind of getting used to it, getting used to the heavy feel, and my hands aren't hurting as much as they were before when I first started driving this car. I've gotten somewhat used to it, which is giving me the feeling of the heavy feel of this car somewhat going away, but it's still there. The understeer in this car really doesn't show itself unless you're actually trying to drive this car in a manner that obviously it wasn't built to do. But I have to admit, I said at the beginning that, I'm a sole diehard Mercedes Benz fan, but I do have to give BMW props. This car, because I haven't tested the E Series yet, I have to admit, the E Series might have its work cut out for him, which is saying something for me being a diehard Mercedes fan, because I have to admit, the BMW 528 is a pretty damn good car. And if someone was to ask me, would I spend the 50 grand at bare minimum it takes to get one of these cars, would I do it? Yeah, I would do it. I said I was 95% sold. Now I'm 100%. This car is good. I as you can see, I'm grinning from ear to ear. This car is really that damn good. And I have to admit, can the Mercedes E Class top this car? Because I'm seriously sitting here thinking to myself that this challenge, this comparison, this duo, this pairing was going to be a Mercedes-Benz win all the way with the BMW clogging up the rear. But now I can't say that, because the impression that this car has given me, the feeling that this car has given me, and the sensations that I've got while I'm behind the wheel, as I've said, it has changed my mind, and yes, I would definitely buy this car. Now we're about to find out, can the mighty Mercedes-Benz E350 take home the crown of being the best out of this duo? Because when it comes to public comparisons, It really hasn't, because the BMW 5 Series has outsold the Mercedes Benz E350 for quite a long time. So according to the public's view, as far as car sales have gone, the Mercedes is second, and then BMW is first place. But the only way we're going to figure that out here on MeAndMineTv is if I get my butt out of this car and into the Mercedes E350.